St-Pierre started to butt into this business when Khabib and Conor were getting ready to fight. And all of a sudden he was saying, I might be interested in going down to 155 and taking on the winner. So the fight happens, Conor comes in second. George is still speaking up. George came out and said, I'd like to be the first guy to hand Khabib a loss. All of a sudden I'm going, really? You know, because George isn't much of a bluffer. George isn't a guy that seeks media attention and comes out and says crazy statements to get in the headline. George really isn't into getting headlines. That's just not really his thing. So when George St-Pierre comes out and says that he wants to fight Khabib, I believe him. So now you're talking about him going down to 155 pounds, which you got an incredible storyline for. Guy seeking his third championship. That would close the book on a pound-for-pound grade.
My dream come true, guys.
But don't make believe that George doing heavy lifting dating all the way back to 2002 doesn't carry some clout and merit. It absolutely does.
Congratulations on winning the UFC middleweight title.
The world champion at 185 pounds who walked away from a belt that he never lost. He just walked away from it. As much as George can come out and say, I'd like to be the one to hand Khabib a loss, don't kid yourself that Khabib would like to be the one to hand George St-Pierre a loss.
George St-Pierre, he's a special guy. He took 4 years off and everything like that, but he's still one of the greatest, if not the greatest of all time.
You know, I think that everyone, including myself, you know, really didn't think he was going to be able to come back with that long of a layoff.
Yeah, George St-Pierre is the greatest ever. He beat everyone he ever faced. He had 2 losses that were Matt Hughes and Matt Serra, and came back and destroyed them. Right. And then, after retiring, comes back and wins a championship, a division up.
Not just that, but finishes Michael Bisping and chokes him unconscious.
George St-Pierre is a monster.
Everything I do, I go further and further. Right. I want to do something that, like the 155, I never did it before. Title or beating a certain guy that's on a freaking rise.
Well, that would be Khabib then.
Would you be interested in that fight?
I would be interested in that fight. That's a win-win situation.
St-Pierre versus Khabib. Never thought it was a real thing.
Could be Khabib if they're a new guy that do something that is unbeatable. There's a lot of things that turn me on in life is a woman, dinosaurs, and this. The people that say I cannot do that, it's never been done before. That's mean if I do it, it will be the first time. That excites me.
UFC lightweight champion of the world, Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Alhamdulillah. Only respect. Only respect.
Like George St-Pierre say one time, even you black belt, you have to stay in your mind white belt. But now, I want to fight with George St-Pierre.
Afterwards, you called out George St-Pierre, which was a little bit surprising for all of us.
Madison Square Garden, November.
Are you inviting him to come down to 155 and challenge for your title?
Dream fight, me versus George St-Pierre. Like 11, 12 years ago, he fight for the UFC title. When I grew up, I watched his fights, like all fights with my father.
They have a different fucking mindset, huh?
And he brought his game to life. He got everything he could have wanted out of that. He was smashing Conor McGregor in the second round, passing to mount and three-quarter mount several times. You can slow down Khabib, but he ultimately finds a way to do what he wants to do. He's one step ahead all the time.
When Khabib gets you on the ground, you're not getting up.
He's not out here playing games with you.
When he was taking his legs and holding Conor McGregor's legs together like a fucking boa constrictor.
And it's almost like a spider. Like he's injecting venom into you and slowly but surely like weakening your body. You're dealing with a totally different kind of human being. Those people from Dagestan are just so hard. It's just a hard part of the world. They're made of hardier stuff.
He wants the GSP fight.
Holy shit.
Oh, you fancy yourself a grappler, GSP? Yeah. Me too. Let's party. Khabib's a different animal. If you gave me a choice to make the walk against Francis or Khabib, I'm picking Francis because it's a quick death. Khabib, it's going to be long, drawn out. It's going to be a fucking nightmare that you're not going to forget.
Khabib's a much more dangerous form of control. Khabib has a program of hitting people on the ground.
There's nobody with the ground control that he has. There's nobody who can push the pace in the same way that he has. I don't think folks understood who they were dealing with here in a guy like Nurmagomedov. I don't think they grasped the kind of traditional old world society he comes from.
Russians are so fucking different, dude.
GSP.
He never lost a 170-pound title, but now he wants to drop down to fight Khabib.
And he's after legacy fights only.
To come back after 4 years, win the title, beat the champion, and beat him definitively. Rear naked choke, put him to sleep.
Dana White was asked about George St-Pierre and his seeming willingness or desire to fight Khabib Nurmagomedov. And he came out of retirement 4 years out of the game. They gave an immediate UFC middleweight title shot to him against Michael Bisping, which he took advantage of, obviously.
They both go out there and they're very ferocious. But now you have master grappler versus master grappler. Masters of getting to the top position and masters of being able to maintain that ability and that workload, that pace, for the full duration. Very interesting fight. They both have an ability to break opponents mentally with non-stop pressure. They both have takedowns that are nearly impossible for any of their past opponents to stop.
A fight between George St-Pierre and Khabib Nurmagomedov would be a massive fight. I think he's a guy who is mentally strong enough to make that weight. He's deserving of a super fight. The guy has done it all. This would be his 3rd world championship.
Yes, it would be an interesting fight. Yes, people would pay to see it.
The best fighters in the world, and George versus Khabib, I really want to see that fight. That's a perfect fight.
You make a super fight.
It feels surreal. See you back in here again. George St-Pierre, ladies and gentlemen.
He is going to try to drop down to 155 pounds.
And in terms of legacy, I can't think of a fighter right now who has a better legacy than Khabib.
He's available today.
And I hear about like he wanna come fight in 155, take this belt, become UFC 3 division champion. Why not? Me versus George St-Pierre.
It's perfect time to do it right now.
Well, then let's do it. Let's set it up.
Khabib, the Eagle, Nurmagomedov!
Legacy.